Welcome to my channel. We're going to be doing some oil pastel bats, and I'm super pumped. I've got some fun facts for you. I'm going to show you through how to do this step by step, like a little I draw, you draw. So let's go ahead and grab some art supplies. I'm going to be using, I would use pencil if I were you. I'm going to use a marker so you can see what I'm doing. I'm using oil pastels, but you can use markers, crayons, colored pencils, paints, whatever it is that you have. And then I'm also going to be creating a very simple background. So use, what you have for that as well. So as we go, if you need to, stop me and go grab your supplies, or definitely if you're watching on the replay, you can rewind. That's the awesome thing. So let's go ahead and get started. So I am going to grab, I'm going to start with a Sharpie. Okay. And for me, it's kind of hard sometimes for my brain to see things upside down. So I'm going to be drawing the bat where it's right side up, and then I'll flip it upside down when I add it to my scene. All right. So we're going to start with a kind of like a rainbow. I used to call it a frowny face line. And I had one kiddo tell me, like, Miss Kimberly, why do you call it a frowny face? That's kind of sad. Why don't you call it a rainbow? So here we are today, calling it a rainbow. So I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but we have it just a curved line that I'm going to connect with a little bit of a smile curve. All right. Then we're going to add a lazy V. Kind of looks like a snow cone now at this point, if I were to say. And then I am going to add two like long curved lines going up all the way to the corner of my paper on one side, and then all the way up to the corner of my paper on the other side. Bats are symmetrical, meaning that they are the same or similar on both sides. Then I'm going to do two little frowny curves over here, or as one of my kiddos says, rainbow curves. These are not legs. These are not long, skinny arms and legs jumping out of the body, okay? These are going to be part of the bat wings. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to curve, 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 curve all the way up. All right. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. There we go. So very simple. You can always put your own tweaks on the wings. They don't have to have these like frowny face type curves. Totally up to you, whatever is easiest for you. So this is what we have so far. Now, as far as a face goes, we could totally do like cutie eyes. We could do sleepy eyes. So I've done sleepy eyes on both of these. Maybe this time we'll go cutie eyes. Why not? So that I'm going to give it, one of my little girls today in homeschool lessons gave her some big eyes like that. So I'm going to go big eyes. Let y'all see those zoomed in. But like I said, you could definitely do where it looks like they're sleepy eyes, right? Okay. And then I'm just going to keep it simple on the nose and do an upside down triangle nose, vertical, and then just a grin up from that. So I'm keeping the face very, very simple. We could even add eyelashes, eyebrows, turn it into a whole character. Give it a name. Why not, right? You could even write like a little short story about your bat, whatever makes you happy. Now, bats can hear really, really well, okay? They use what's called echolocation, and so they will shoot a sound out from their mouth, obviously. They're going to shoot a sound out. It's going to travel, that sound is, and then once it hits an object, it's going to bounce off that object and come back at it. So it's going to echo back at it. And the bats are able to navigate how far away something is based off of that echo. So they have really good hearing. So I kind of exaggerated my bat ears just for fun, just to kind of show, hey, they have some really good hearing, okay? So to me, they kind of look like rainbow or raindrops or almond-shaped ears, okay? Again, I'm using a Sharpie so that way you guys can see what I'm doing, but if I were you, I would use a pencil. That way, if you mess up, you can erase. And there's a little saying, draw it light till you get it right. And I love that saying. So draw really soft until you get it how you want it. And then you can like carve it into your paper. So really that's it. That is super, super basic. Now I had fun with the bodies, okay? Tried to make my bat look a little bit more realistic on part of it, and then I went in and added some fun wings, and I didn't glue the wings all the way down so I could like fold my bat up if I wanted to take a little nap, right? But you guys can do it how you want. I am using oil pastels because I love how you can layer pastels. So I'm going to come in here. I'm not going to worry about details like the mouth and the lashes. I'm just going to color right over them. And then I can go back and add those later. So I'm not going to stress about covering up pencil lines or Sharpie lines, whatever it is that you used, because we can go back and add them in. Also, I'm not going to stress if I get a little color outside of the lines, because I can always go back and fix that as well. So now I'm going to come in and use a peach. Now there's a trick. If your oil pastels are really yucky like this, just rub them on like a paper towel and it'll get the tips of them cleaned right up. But now I'm going to come in with this peach and go over my brown and blend it in, because here, let me move. I'm going to move you guys back a smidge. Move this, oh, little table thing out of the way if I can. And then we'll move you guys closer. Let's see. Is that better? Gotta try not to trip on my tripod. There we go. Now maybe you guys can see a little better. Okay, so we're going to go over this brown. I'm going over it with this peachy color. And then what this does is it fills in all the teeny tiny baby white spots that were left behind by coloring soft with the first brown that I was using. Okay, so it gets them all filled in. Then I can go back with brown and I'm gonna just do these little dashy, 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 dash, 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 dash. Just do these real like fur lines essentially is what they are. So I'm just creating fur on my bat right now, okay? So here's what I've done, if you can see that. So now there's some great texture on there, right? So then on the body, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. And I always say save black for last because it's going to create a mess. Like the reason I didn't go in and outline all of this with black first and then color it in is because it would have just totally smudged. Now I'm going to use the side of this pastel and come in soft first with black. So I'm putting a base of black down. Then I'm going to go in with brown and not use too much muscle, but I am using a little bit of muscle because the point is now to get it completely covered up so there's no tiny baby white spots. We don't want to see those, because if you leave a bunch of those little bitty white spots, and if you've used oil pastels, you know what I'm talking about, then it looks like you just colored with a crayon. So you may as well have just colored with a crayon. So I'm coming in using a little bit of muscle and blending on top of that black so it looks like a darker brown. Then I'm going to go back with black again, and I'm going to add some little dashy, dashy, dashies back in here again, but this time with black instead of brown like I did on the head. And this is going to give it like a fur look, okay? So we're coming in here and we're giving it some fur because bats are hairy. Bats also like live together in groups. They call them nurseries, which is really fun. I love that. And if one mama has to go away for a little bit to go hunt or something like that, then the other mamas like help take care of the baby bats that are left behind, which is pretty cool. And they call them nurseries, and they live like literally hang upside down in these packs, which is pretty cool. I also learned something else interesting about bats is in their heart, they only have one valve where blood comes out of their heart and one valve where blood comes in, so that the blood will come out of the heart, go through the body, circle around, and come in on the other side. And that's how they're able to hang upside down. Somehow or another, it bypasses their head. So when they're hanging upside down, all the blood doesn't rush to their head like it does in humans. So that's a fun little fact. Okay, I'm going to match the the ears to the body. Here we go. And then I'm going to add some black fur lines on the ears. Now, again, my ears are quite exaggerated, and that's okay. I love it. Then I'm going to do a pink nose just for fun. Now, I'm going to attempt to use a black to color in the eyes. Only bad thing about these oil pastels is they're quite chunky. These are Crayola. I love these so much. I like to just get the Crayola ones. I can order a big old class pack of them, and they last for a long time, and they just do really good for coloring and blending and all the things. So I'm very partial to the Crayola oil pastels since I have to buy so many of them. I just get the class packs. Okay, so I'm doing the eyebrows, throw some lashes on there. There we go. There's its cute little face. Just like so. And hopefully you can see some of the texture on the body. Excellent. So it's like our little snow cone bat here. I'm just keeping it simple. And then I think for the wings, I'm going to go Halloween-y colors again, like the one that was on the bottom over there. But this time I'm going to add a pop of lime green. So I'm going to go and make a pattern. Oh, I don't know about this orange. We'll use this one. Okay. So I'm going to kind of outline section 1. There we go. And then I'll get it colored in. Just like so. Excellent. And this time I'm using lots of muscle because I am not going to layer colors on top of this. So I'm using lots of muscle. Then I'm going to come in with some purple. I kind of think of purple as a Halloween-y color. There we go. So another fun fact about bats is there's 1,200 different species of bats, which is wild, but only 3 of them will actually like bite an animal and suck their blood. So that's good to know because bats are a little intimidating to me for that reason. So I think it's good to know that only 3 of them are actually scary. There we go. So I'm adding a pop of green in this time, some lime green. I think that's kind of fun. Ta-da! And then we're going to go all over again. Work the pattern over again. Now, if I'm not careful and I touch a color next to it, that color is going to smudge in. I don't know if you can tell that the brown is kind of smudged in a little, but that's okay. Like, that's kind of the fun of oil pastels is I think when they kind of smudge and blend a little. But some people, they don't like that. And one trick that you can do if it does smear a little is sometimes you can scrape that off with your fingernail and then go back on and try again. So sometimes that'll work if you have like some major smears that are bothering you. And I'm just going to keep this ABC pattern going. And again, if you don't have oil pastels, not everybody has them at home, just use what you have. I'm sure you have some crayons or markers, colored pencils, something along those lines. So that's always kind of fun to mix up your media that you're using. You don't have to use what's being used in videos, just use what you have. Simplify life a little bit. Use what you have. Never let supplies stop you from trying something that could easily just be adjusted to using something else, right? I mean, even just pencil. Just draw it for fun and do some shading. All right, so there we go. Last color is purple. Now, I'm going to go back with my black and I am going to trace the outline of things, any pencil lines that you guys might have. Oh, the ears. We got to do the pattern in the ears. So let's do orange, purple, green. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to come in with the black, like I said, and any lines that you want to trace again. I like the way this looks. I think it brings it all back together, but some people don't like that look of like a black line. So if you're one of them that doesn't like that, then don't do it. It's your artwork. All right. And then I'm going to set this aside here in a moment, and we're going to work on the background. Now, I'm thinking tomorrow I have a class at the studio. I have a couple classes at the studio, but I'm thinking I'll go live in between again tomorrow. And I know you guys really like it when I paint, so we'll probably do some type of paint project tomorrow. So you'll have to watch for that little notification that says I'm going live. And if you don't get that notification, that might mean you might need to subscribe, right? Or follow. So we've got this looking so cute. And now I'm going to move this little dude out of the way for a moment. And we will, or maybe I'll put it down here because then you can still see it a little bit. Okay, so we'll put it down here for a minute. And we're going to work on our background. I chose a purple paper, but you could do black, you could do blue, you could, maybe you don't have that. Maybe you only have white paper and then you just are going to have to color your whole paper, right? To fill it in. So I'm going to start and I'm going to make a really big full moon just because. Now, full moons aren't your thing. That's okay. I had a kiddo today. She wanted to do, what did she call it? She called it a smile moon, I think. So if you want to do a smile moon, she was talking about a crescent moon, then you go right ahead. So I'm trying to put the white on pretty thick. Go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a black and kind of softly kind of add some craters and some shadows to my moon. So it's not just white. We don't want it to just be white, right? Then I'm going to go back on top of all of this with white again and really blend some more white on top. So now instead of it being black, it becomes gray. Then if I wanted to take it one step further, I could go back in with the black again and just do a little bit. Depends on like how detailed you want it to be. Maybe you don't want it to be super detailed, and that's okay too. So I did something kind of like that for my moon. Just really fun and blendy. All right. There we go. Then just to top it off, if you wanted to, you could definitely go like around the edge with the yellow and just give it a little bit of a glow. Like so. I think that's really fun. Okay, now we can't have a night sky without some little bitty twinkle stars, and I don't even think about them. I just put them on random, and I'm not like dotting my paper because to me, I don't know, it kind of looks messy. So I'm actually purposely making these teeny tiny circles think I heard that there's like a comet right now in the sky that's super, super bright, or it was earlier this week anyway. I'm pretty sure I saw it on Sunday night, but I didn't know what I was looking at until Monday morning when I saw the news. All right, there we go. So there's some twinkle stars. And of course you could add whatever else you wanted to your background. Now I'm grabbing on my little bench over here some construction paper scraps that I had cut previous to this. And I'm going to take these and put them onto my background. There we go. All right. And I mean, we could go across the moon, under the moon, you know, you can take it whatever direction. I think I might go this way because it looks like I went downhill on the other two. So I think I'm going to go uphill on this one. Now it's hanging off the edge and we could leave it hanging off the edge or we could trim that. And then I've got some extra branches to add. So I might stick that one there. And I will say oil pastels are super messy. Beware, be ready for that. But it washes right off and it washes out of clothes too. Okay, then that's a boring, boring branch, super boring compared to everything else we've done. So I can take like some brown, and you can do this with crayons or color pencils or markers. And I'm just making some texture lines in my tree because trees aren't smooth, not even birch trees. They're not even smooth. I'll go in with some peach and black as well. So I'm gonna hit kind of the tops with a little peach. There we go. So they're like catching a shine from the moon. Hit the bottoms with a little black. There we go. All right. So that to me is a little bit more exciting than just having a plain construction paper branch. Now I'm going to take this piece of construction paper. It is a quarter sheet, if I remember right. And I'm folding it in half again. I could even fold it in half again. So this is going to make lots of leaves, right? You guys could use a pencil. I'm just going to use an oil pastel and draw 2 curved lines. And I'm trying to make them as big as I can, as close to the edges as I can. And these will be leaves for my tree. And then I'm making sure to keep the paper as close to the bottom of the scissors as I can, because if I try to snip with the top of the scissors, it's not going to do very much work. So I keep, whoop, sorry guys, I just hit the tripod. There we go. So now look at all these, it's raining leaves up in here. So I've got all these leaves now because I kept folding my paper and folding my paper and folding my paper, and they're all the same size. Now, don't feel like you have to do it that way. Maybe you want all your leaves to be a different size, and that's okay too. Totally up to you guys. I'm gonna put my leaves over here. Okay. So because the ends of these branches are so not realistic, I'm going to cover them up. So we're going to put a little leaf there, little leaf here. How about we put one over here? Some more glue there, here, there. Got one left, maybe one over here. There we go. Oh, we got another one. Maybe we could put this one over here. Spread these out a little extra. Stick this guy over here. There we go. Nice. Now again, we have all this texture, and I can't say a ton of detail, but we've got a lot going on. So I don't want to leave my leaves boring, right? So I'm going to add some veins to all of my leaves. There we go. And I only glued the ends of the leaves down, so you could totally like flip these up and give your art some dimension. They don't have to lay flat. And that's why I only glued down one end. Now, I am super duper pumped about Friday night's class, guys. Tomorrow night, we're doing blacklight pumpkin painting, and I still have some seats left if you're interested. It's going to be super fun. And then Saturday, we are doing a ghost painting, but it's like a cutesy ghost out in the field painting. So that's Saturday afternoon. I think it's supposed to be drizzly on Saturday, so you might as well come in and paint. Okay, now last thing, we just have to cut out our cute little bat. So I always, like, you would be blown away with how many kids don't know how to cut properly. So I always tell them, thumb goes in the circle, fingers go in the oval, fingers stay on the bottom, thumb on top. Always do not twist your wrist. Then we do little chomps, and we can kind of turn our paper as we do little chomps instead of trying to turn our scissor hand different directions. So we turn our paper to do these little chomps. Also, kids all the time want to hold their paper like right by where they're cutting, like literally right by. I'm like, don't do that, you're gonna cut your fingers. So I try to teach them to hold the other side of their paper. But for real, kids are always like, cutting's so hard for me. And I think it's because they are not allowed to practice very much, which is fair. My own kid cut her own hair, and I knew better. I knew to keep the scissors up and away. So it happens. I get it. But I still feel like they need more practice cutting. It can be controlled practice, right? Monitored practice. All right. There we go. Sometimes too, it helps to get rid of like big sections of paper. So what I mean by that is I could just cut this all the way. So now all that's left are those little chunks. And then I just curve it, gone, curve it. Because sometimes all that extra paper just gets in the way when you're trying to cut. So if you notice kids are having a hard time, get the extra paper out of the way, and that might make their cutting job a little easier. Here we go. Now our bat is going to be upside down. I am going to fold the bat wings in, fold these bat wings in, and I'm only going to put glue on the back of the body and not on the wings. So that way the wings kind of pop off if we want them to. We could even color the back of the wings. How cute would that be? And then it's like wrapped up, and then it opens up like that. You could even turn this into a card, and maybe when they open it up, it like says Happy Halloween or something like that. That would be really cute. Okay, and then we just kind of figure out where he or she's gonna go. Doesn't have to be in the middle. And we are now attached. And we have our cute little bat wings. Very fun. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys so much for watching this with me. I love that you were a part of this. And like I said, I say we do some painting tomorrow. I think that'll be a lot of fun. But again, use the supplies you have and make it your own. Put your own twist on things. Add some details, change the face up, add a bow tie or a hair bow or a princess crown or, whatever. Just add your own things, tweak the project however you want it to be, put your own artistic creativity on it. But thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely go to artsyrose.com if you're ever interested in joining a class, and we'll see you in the next video. View this in your Hmm.